Like I've used bands for a long, long time, and the strongest I've ever been was incorporating bands with free weights. So that's the next evolution, is saying, all right, cool, here's how you structure a workout, here's an exercise for every muscle group, here's how you could train the same way within your split, but here's kind of that next step of being able to incorporate some free weights. So what we're gonna do is this first one, it's easier to do these individually. I've seen people do them where they'll try to do, you know, both arms at the same time with an overhead press. I like doing singles with them, so I just step on them with the same foot. We're gonna have to, a lot of times you just have to kind of play with it. Find one that feels good. Purple one, probably with 20 controlled good reps will probably feel pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
So we can just start right there. Feels light at first. And I just focus on getting that nice extra squeeze at the top, you know. Think about all three of your contractions, from the concentric, the isometric, and the eccentric, really just maximizing all three. So even if that pause at the top is just for a second, it's still, you know, putting my mind there, making sure I'm getting that maximum squeeze.
You can definitely feel the resistance as you press to the top.
Yep. And that's what I like about bands, is you get that progressive resistance. So it follows your strength curve more naturally than free weights do. Are you counting? I've lost track when I was talking. I think that's about 18.
Wow.
It feels different than free weights, though.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely activates your muscle, for sure. I feel my shoulders definitely feels pretty pumped from that.
And I think for shoulders especially, it helps you avoid some of the common injuries training shoulders, because as you're pressing up, you feel that band pulling you forward and backwards and side to side. So it's forcing you to use those stabilizer muscles that sometimes we don't use when we're doing free weights or machines.
Yeah, for sure.
Because think about it, free weights only resisting you on the vertical plane against gravity, and that's it. You can legitimately get a good pump with these.
No, for sure, for sure. I feel like my shoulders are pretty pumped now.
So in men's physique, we joke about it all the time. We say that like men's physique is 50% shoulders. But I mean, that's an exaggeration, but it literally is. If you don't have, in men's physique, that's the foundation of a physique to me.
For sure, yeah, because it brings up your taper. So like the bigger the V is, like the better. Kind of like, it makes, if you have bigger shoulders, it makes your waist look smaller.
And that's what they seem to reward, is that look, that nice small waist, big shoulders, that shoulder to waist ratio. Let's do a third set using a combination of free weights, so dumbbells with bands. We'll do,
oh, it's gonna be killer.
Yeah.
I can already tell.
Yeah, so let's grab a light weight, grab like maybe even a 25 with the black bands. 25. There we go. So same thing, all I do is literally just, I grab the band first and then lay the dumbbell right in it. You can see it's a totally different feel.
Yeah, yeah. Makes the dumbbell feel like it's 100 pounds.
Oh man. So here's where I feel the difference. Like I would say the total resistance at the top feels the same as doing the green band. Where I feel the difference is now I feel a little more resistance at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Versus the other, I felt it all at the top.
Yeah, yeah.
This one I feel right here.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I feel the same exact thing. Like the resistance on that pulls a lot more.
Yeah.
Using the green one, but this one it still pulls, but then you have that weight
at the very top.
Yeah.
We don't want to come all the way here because the band will go a little bit slack. I want you to keep a little more constant tension. So if full range of motion was from here to here, I want you to think about like here. Just right in this, it's almost like a half rep.
I got you, I got you.
So you're gonna have constant tension the entire time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so you're almost starting at a 90 degree with your arm parallel with the floor, all right? But think about this. Everyone thinks that high reps, you're gonna be smaller, right? That you're gonna build endurance.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
So we just did 20 reps. But look at the total time under tension, probably about the same total time under tension if we did 10 slow controlled reps.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily about total amount of reps you do.
Yeah.
It's about the total time under tension.
Yeah. It's a really good pump.
So those are our presses. I would say for shoulders, the biggest difference for me between doing a regular routine where I'm doing, say, you know, a lot of bar or dumbbell work, and all my chest work using a lot of anterior delts, especially if I'm doing any kind of incline work. So everyone's got pretty developed anterior delts if you're doing a lot of pressing. With bands, it's not quite as much because we're focusing more on a lot of isolation exercise like flies and things like that. So if I was doing a bands only routine for a couple months, I would do front raises.
Sometimes like a lot of people, they'll do the front and side delt, but then towards the end, they'll do the rear delt, but wouldn't put as much effort into doing that.
They do it half-ass.
Yeah.
Come on, you always see people do rear delts at the end of their workout and they just kind of like go through the motions. They'll jump on, you know, the pec deck. They'll throw, you know, throw a couple sets in there because they feel obligated to.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, especially competing, you're never going to have that complete back development if your rear delts are underdeveloped. They really make, you know, your poses from the back pop.
For sure.
And even if you're not a competitor, even if you're just wearing a t-shirt, you can see rear delts pop out of your shirt. All right, so we're gonna do some side raises. So the same thing, let's go for 20 reps.
I like these a lot.
Now, holding it the way we're holding it, you're gonna feel a little more on your anterior delt. If you wanted to change it, you can play with different grips, like where I've gone ahead and I've wrapped the band around my hand. So right now I can feel almost in the center of my hand, or I can put it to the outside of my hand. And depending where it is, if it's on the back, I start to feel it more in the middle and in the rear delt. So even with doing a side raise, depending on where you're gripping, it's gonna make a difference whether it's pulling my hand this way or pulling my hand backwards.
Yeah, for sure. It's just so much to choose from and so much you can do with just the one band. And you can start really targeting. It's like, okay, I want to do my side raises. I want to work on more width on my shoulders, but I still want to put a little more emphasis on the rear, or I want to put more emphasis on the front and that tie-in. There we go. Shoulders are pumped.
Right? So set 2. We're gonna do 2 more. We'll do it the same way. Let's grab some really light dumbbells.
5 to 10 pounds, you think?
Yeah, super light.
Let's try.
And again, whatever the difference is, since there's only one set, grab whichever ones you want, and then we'll just make up the difference
by the resistance.
By the resistance of the band. All right. So I'm gonna do 10 reps.
Ready?
So in your own words, like, how would you describe the difference between the way that feels versus the band only?
You're resisting with the muscle, but when you have the band with the weight, it's kind of like a...
Feels almost more immediate.
Yeah.
Whereas the band feels gradual. It, like, you feel it and you're like, okay, I feel the tension increasing, and you gotta increase your intensity as you go. This one feels more immediate, like you have to, right from the beginning, you have to power through it. Hot in here for February, right?
Yeah. Super hot. It's really hot out today. How do you feel?
I feel like I'm getting a workout. Yeah, I see comments like, oh, you can never build muscle the same way. And all I say is just try it. Just do it. Just do a workout.
It's tough. It's tough for sure.
That's it. Just do it. You look at elite level trainers and elite level athletes, they use bands for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's also great for functional strength, whatever your sport is. I don't care if it's football, if it's baseball, all this stuff that normally a lot of times you'd be sitting down or you'd be laying down, we're doing standing up.
Yeah.
So you're also working your core strength. You're not just working.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier, because just when I'm doing these kind of movements, I feel my core, like I have to.
Yeah, you're tightening up to stabilize yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to try to focus on keeping your scapula stationary, right? And so this is just all in the arms. So I always think about going out to the sides versus squeezing backwards.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we're going to do, but we're just going to come a little bit higher, so right above our head, and that's how you're going to do it, squeeze out. So same thing, 20 reps. Not that high, you know, come like right here, so it's still squeezing backwards, but it's just a little higher.
Oh, I got you.
Yep, right there. There we go. You feel that?
Yeah.
They're pumped.
Yeah.
But the big thing is thinking about keeping your shoulders in that fixed position.
Yeah, because once you lean or whatever, it kind of.
Yeah, you start using because think about your traps. You know, everyone thinks about the traps up here, but they go all the way down the middle of your back. They just don't shrug your shoulders up. They pull them backwards. Yeah. That's a big, powerful muscle, so we don't want to use that. Because think about your rear delts are pretty small. Yeah. I mean, look, we're able to toast them with a tiny little, you know, elastic band here. Doing bands with free weights like we've been doing doubles is a little bit harder. I've never tried it. I imagine you could. You know, you could come in here, get locked in, and try to do it, but I feel like that band would be up in your face. I think the easier way to do it. Maybe
one at a time, like this?
Yeah, I mean, you can do them standing, and I think this would be the easier way to do it. So in a bent over position, if you had two bands, you could definitely do both at the same time, or you could even come over, you know, something like this, and you just run it through and you anchor it. And that's gonna give you even nicer angle of pull. To get that angle that we're talking about, I think we want to get as far away from this as possible. So you're gonna, instead of adjusting our grip to create the resistance, we'll just step either closer or further away. So you just have to see how the first one feels.
Here we go. Squeeze.
We probably could have gotten away with that red one, but
how'd that feel?
You'll still feel it.
Yeah.
It feels different. You're still working your rear delt, but it just has a different feel to it. Yeah, there you go. Get that nice little pause, a nice good contraction. If you think of every rep like you're posing, you have the best workout of your life. Your rear delt's still firing for sure.
That was good. Rear delts are on fire.
When I do upright rows, I know a lot of people like going really narrow. I don't like that feeling. I feel like I get impingements. I like to go a little more natural. Like if I said lift your arms up right now, you'd put them right about here. And now I know a lot of people go like this, you know, it's like thumb to thumb width.
It feels really uncomfortable like that.
Yeah, I just feel like I get all bound up, and I feel if that's happening, then there's a high chance that I'm gonna pinch something. So I like to keep it nice and natural. Same thing when I'm, you know, pressing. If it feels uncomfortable, depending on where I'm putting my elbows or how I'm putting my hands, I don't like it. The same reason why I never do any kind of straight bar curls, because it just puts so much torque on my wrists, and it feels like it's torque on my elbows. So I like a little more neutral position when I can. Oh yeah, how's that feel?
My My delts are on fire right now.
How about your delts, Mike? Your delts on fire?
Me right now.
You gotta get this, Anthony. You know this dude's delts are burning. Look at this guy right here. He's crying on the inside. Oh, there it is. Need some BCAAs, Mike? Even when I'm doing free weights for upright rows, I like dumbbells over a bar.
Yeah.
Again, it just gives me more flexibility. I don't feel locked in as much.
Yeah.
I like having, you know, if my hands kind of need to move a little bit, I feel like it places less stress on my joints.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do, so I was starting to say that I do upright rows even with free weights with dumbbells. So grab a pair of dumbbells, lighter than you would normally do for upright rows. Get that little mini isometric pause at the top. Wow. Yeah, right there. Oh yeah. That's it. Yep. Nice. These are Kirby's favorite exercise, right, Kirby?
Here we go. Squeeze, squeeze. There we go. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Up. My shoulders feel heavy.
I think that's it, dude. That's it.
Yeah. It's a good workout.
I mean, it really just depends on what you do on a shoulder day. I know some people incorporate traps. Some people do calves and abs. The only reason I never like doing calves and abs on a shoulder day is it's kind of like sending this message that shoulders are this easy workout that you're gonna have so much free time and free energy to, you know, do all this calf and ab training. Yeah. So I like to limit it to two. So either do shoulders and calves or shoulders and abs, but to try to squeeze all three,
yeah.
I felt like one always suffered.
I just feel like you would half-ass one of them just because you're putting more effort into whichever other group you're working on.
And that's why I never did abs is, I always kind of like squeeze them in. I do them on cardio days.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd hit abs twice a week doing that. Yeah. And so that way doing shoulders and calves, not bad. I can go through and do a couple sets of calves, no big deal.
What's your favorite ab exercise? Like your go-to?
There's one that I really like. It's my favorite. Kirby hated this one. Actually, I used to make Mike do it too. He hated it too. So on an incline bench, because the thing about the way most people train abs, they're not really getting good range of motion, good contraction in their abs. If your back is flat when you're doing any kind of ab exercise,
you're not actually like contracting. Right?
Yeah, because think about what your abs do. They're actually flexing your spine. So unless you get that curve in your spine, you're not getting a good contraction. So a lot of times when people are doing leg lifts, they're just using a lot of hip flexors. It ends up just looking like this. Yeah, so you're isometrically working your abs. You're getting a little bit of a contraction there, but not much of one.
It's not optimized.
That's why when people talk about plank, you know, plank being the ultimate ab exercise, I'm like, nah, I mean, it's a great isometric exercise, and they're hard as hell to do, but they're not the best ab exercise. So I'm always looking for ways just to maximize that range of motion and that contraction. So you can adjust the intensity of it by the angle of the bench. I could make the bench more upright and make it harder, but it looks like this. And my hips never come back down, so I'm keeping that constant tension. And so bringing knees to forehead.
So you're just trying to mainly focus on your abdominal folding in.
Pulling.
Yeah.
Pulling, you know, my legs forward. So that angle between my hips and my legs and even at my knee all stays fixed. So I'm trying to keep 90 degrees from my back to my thigh, 90 degrees from my thigh to my calves. That all stays fixed. So I'm not, you know, legs aren't coming in, coming out. Because that's the other one that you see, right? Even if it's not this, you see this one out here. You know,
well, like the core itself is just stationary.
Right.
When you do in that kind of way.
Same thing with hanging leg lifts. You see the same thing. People come over, whether they're doing on a Roman chair or hanging. and you see a lot of this right here, that's still a lot of hip flexor. Now if I took this and did that, that's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, definitely. That's a more difficult route too. Like a lot of people, they do the first way you said, just because it's more easy. But I mean, I feel like you feel it a little bit, but you're not getting the full effect of it.
So now, my favorite one, believe it or not, is incorporating bands. So what I'll do is exactly what I did over there, but I'll take a heavy dumbbell and I'll anchor the band. I'll tie it around the dumbbell and put it on my feet and create that additional resistance. Or you can do the same thing if you take a Swiss ball and say anchor the band over here and you lay on the Swiss ball, and so as you do your crunches, you've got that resistance pulling forward with the band. Because people do it with dumbbells, right? You know, hold the dumbbell over your head. That's kind of like one of those old school ones. But again, you're not really getting the resistance because you're moving forward and backward more than you are up and down. So you're not really taking advantage of your resistance, which is again on that vertical plane. But with the band, now your resistance is in the horizontal plane, the same way that you're moving.
That makes sense.
So yeah, bands are actually, they're awesome for abs too.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, it's a gym in a bag, you know?
Yeah.
They'll catch on one of these days. You watch, one of these days in the future it'll be like the big rage, like everyone will be doing bands, and by then I'll be bored with them and doing something else and be like, oh, yep, I missed the wave again. It's all good, I have fun with them.
Yeah, it was a fun workout for sure. Had a lot of fun. Had a really good shoulder pump. It's really good.
Hi, dude.
Great workout, man. Pleasure.
Dude, I'm looking forward to seeing how you do on the stage. That's exciting.
Man. I'm excited too, man. Hopefully I can, make a statement. That's my main goal.
Hey, you know what? You got to remind yourself that being there is a statement.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I mean, that's a big accomplishment right there in itself.
That's the one reason why I kind of went and did the show, because I had my surgery in November, and I was kind of like set back, and I was just like, I'm gonna set myself a big goal and try to do, the Arnold Classic, and I already beat my previous package from the Nationals, so it's already a win for me,
Well, that's it right there. I mean, look, I look at it, if you're not challenging yourself, if you're not really stretching yourself, setting a goal that feels just a little out of reach, then it's not a very good goal. So this is a good goal.
I heard you say that in your podcast before.
Yeah, it's true. I firmly believe that, and I don't think you're ever going to have, like, you got to be a little bit scared. Like earlier I asked you, I said, are you a little bit scared? And you're like, nah, I'm more excited than scared, but being a little scared is cool. That's what makes it fun. Like,
there's like a little thrill to it where you're just like, you don't really know what's like.
Dude, it's the unknown.
I feel like I'm definitely gonna be nervous, like when I'm actually in Ohio, like settled in, like, all right, I'm getting my spray tan.
Yeah.
Right now I'm just like really excited, just in the sense that I know like I'm in like my best shape. So like, I know like as I get closer to the show, that's when the nerves start kicking in, but I'm really excited.
Well, you got to remind yourself that no matter how you place, that's going to be your motivation when you go back into the gym right after the show,
for
to push yourself harder. And
that's exactly how it was like when I was doing like nationals. It took me, my third national show is when I turned pro, but like the other two, I was always in the first call out, but I just kept missing it short. But then that like, that fueled me more to work harder, and like I knew what I had to work on to.
Look at every guy who's competed in the Olympia, right, or the Arnold. Look at the first time they competed at the show and compare their pictures to when they won. Like, so to Mr. Olympia, from the very first time he did it to the time he won, and you look at that progression, and that's what you just have to remind yourself, that no matter how good you look when you come in, that's, you're going to come back into the gym after, and it's going to just fuel your fire just to go in and train harder.
I just feel like it's all about the journey too, like just the whole entire experience of just coming up and like, I wouldn't say failing is like the word to use, but like, having those little setbacks, like when I went to my first national show, I was like really nervous. I didn't know what to expect, but I made the first call out, but I got 6th place, but I wouldn't consider that as failing. I kind of said it as like, okay, I know what I need. I feel like you fail when you give up and you just, all right, I'm out of it. Like,
no, dude, I'm 100% behind that. That's my definition of a failure, is just quitting.
Just quitting,
right? The rest of it, they're just obstacles, they're temporary setbacks, and you just work past them, and they're never a failure unless you let it beat you and you quit.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, man.
Definitely, man. Yeah.
Final countdown, dude.
9 more days, man. 9 more days.